All right, let's talk NRL 2026. The offseason was just a crazy whirlwind, wasn't it? So many signings, so much speculation, and some absolutely huge moves. But now, the dust has finally settled, and we're starting to see some of the biggest names in the game pulling on brand new jerseys. So the big question is, which of these moves are going to be the real game changers for 2026? Let's dive in and break it all down. Yep, that's it. The off-season shuffle is officially over. All the teams are locked in for 2026. They're putting the finishing touches on everything, and some really massive names have found new homes. They're all set to make their mark. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Every single fan is wondering who's going to make the biggest difference. I mean, you've got club legends starting totally new chapters. You've got veterans taking on brand new roles. The whole landscape of the NRL has just completely shifted. Okay, so when we talk about big shifts, there's one place we absolutely have to start. The biggest move of them all. We're talking about a true icon of the game. A guy who was a one-club man for 15 years, who's now traded the northern beaches for the eastern suburbs. A massive, massive change. So, here it is. Daly Cherry-Evans. Mr. Manly is now a Sydney Rooster. Just seeing it is kind of wild, but here's the real kicker. He's not going to be wearing the number 7 jersey. Nope, the Roosters are sticking with Sam Walker at halfback, and they're shifting DCE, the Kangaroos captain, mind you, to 5/8. So what does that mean? Well, he's probably going to be less of that main on-ball organizer and more of a creative weapon, picking his moments and injecting that incredible veteran experience into a team that's already, well, completely stacked. And there you have it, right from the man himself. Proud to be a Rooster. That one statement just sent absolute shockwaves through the entire league. But it tells you everything you need to know. He is all in on this new chapter. He's not just showing up to finish his career. No way. He's there to win another premiership. And that's the ripple effect, right? This move creates what could be the most lethal backline in the whole competition. Seriously, just think about it. You take a playmaker with the genius of Cherry-Evans and you drop him into a lineup that already has the brilliance of James Tedesco, plus the insane finishing power of guys like Billy Smith and Mark Nawakani-Tawase. That is a terrifying thought for every other team. This wasn't just about signing a player, this was about building an absolute juggernaut. But of course, it's a zero-sum game, right? One club's massive gain is always another club's massive loss. So with DCE gone, we've got to talk about the huge, gaping void he's left behind at Manly and the monumental challenge facing his successor. I mean, for 15 straight years, that Manly number 7 jersey belonged to one guy. That's it. It's honestly one of the most iconic player-club combinations in modern footy. It was a symbol of leadership, of control, of everything Manly was about. Well, now a totally new era begins, and the man tasked with filling those legendary boots. It's Jamal Fogarty. You just can't overstate the pressure on Fogarty. It is immense. He's not just replacing a player, he's replacing a club legend. But he's ready to bring his own style, that steady hand, that great kicking game to the Sea Eagles. And he's going to be pairing up with the super electric Luke Brooks. That's a brand new halves combination that Manly is betting big on to lead them right back into the finals. All right, so moving on from that blockbuster halves swap, there were a bunch of other clubs making some really smart, targeted signings, specifically bringing in key forwards to fill some very specific and very crucial roles. We're focusing on 3 powerful forwards here, and each one is on a mission. We've got David Fifita heading to the Rabbitohs, Davvy Moale to the Storm, and Jack Belin to the Eels. And believe me, each one of these guys has moved with a crystal clear purpose in mind for their new club. Let's start with David Fifita. His mission? It's simple. Rediscover his absolute rampaging best. Look, we all know what he can do, but after a couple of seasons that were a bit up and down, this move to Souths is all about getting back to that unstoppable barnstorming form. And the key here? He's reuniting with supercoach Wayne Bennett, a guy who is a master motivator, famous for getting the absolute best out of his marquee players. Everyone sees this as the key to unlocking that destructive potential all over again. Now for Davvy Moale, it's a totally different kind of mission. He's off to the Melbourne Storm, and it's basically a 1-year assignment. His job, bring power, bring aggression, and just be a huge physical presence in their forward pack. Yeah, it's a short-term deal, but when you sign on with the Craig Bellamy system, which is famously disciplined, you know what they expect: immediate impact and non-stop intensity. And then you've got Jack Belin, the veteran moving to the Eels. This signing isn't just about what he does on the field, it's all about leadership and culture. See, Parramatta has this crop of really talented young forwards coming through the ranks. So what did they do? They brought in one of the absolute hardest trainers in the entire game to mentor them. His job is to set the professional standard, to be that leader, and to show these young guys what it really takes to win those tough, grinding games.
So let's just recap. We've got an icon playing a totally new position, we've got a successor carrying this massive burden on his shoulders, and we have 3 forwards, each on a very specific mission. Which, brings us right back to where we started.
Which of these new faces is truly going to define the 2026 season? Is it going to be the sheer genius of Cherry-Evans that elevates the Roosters to a premiership? Or maybe David Fifita's huge comeback under Wayne Bennett completely changes the Rabbitohs' fortunes? Or hey, maybe it's a leader like Belin who has the biggest impact, but it's all happening behind the scenes. Look, the chessboard is set. The pieces are all in new places, and the 2026 season is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable we've seen in a long time. And you know what? That's the beauty of it. We're all just going to have to watch and find out.